There is a man in a mining town in the far north who has not let himself truly sleep in 11 days. He is not sick. He is not waiting for anyone. He lies down at the end of every shift, so tired that his hands still curl around a peck that is no longer there. And then he jerks himself back from the edge of sleep, over and over, on purpose, because he has learned that every time he goes under, he wakes up missing something. Not a thing he can name. That is the worst part. He wakes knowing only that there was something he loved, and that it is gone now, and that he cannot even remember its shape enough to grieve it. He is one of hundreds. The whole town has stopped sleeping. What's happening to that man and to everyone around him is going to take us somewhere very old and very sad, into a tower on a cliff that has been holding its breath for decades, and the answer to why he cannot sleep is not the answer you are expecting. The thing stealing the nights of an entire town is not a curse, exactly. It is a hunger. And the person who finally comes to end it is carrying a secret that will reframe everything you think you understand about who in this story is the monster. Because there is one sitting at the center of all this that I want to hold until we have earned it, and when it arrives, it will change what every careful, reassuring word spoken in this story actually meant. So let us start where the cold starts. Let us start in Dawnstar. Dawnstar is a hard place to love and an easy place to understand. It clings to the northern coast of Skyrim, where the sea is the color of old iron, and the wind comes off the water carrying a cold that does not so much chill you as inform you, patiently, that you are small. The town lives on what it can pull out of the ground, quicksilver mostly, and the labor of men and women who go down into the dark before dawn and come up after it, so that for whole stretches of winter, some of them never see the sun at all. It is not a town of luxuries. It is a town of endurance. People here are used to being tired, which is exactly why no one understood, at first, what was wrong with them. It began the way a draft begins. So gradual you blame yourself before you blame the room. A bad night. Then another. Then a week where every single person who closed their eyes in Dawnstar opened them again, gasping, soaked through, their hearts going like a hammer on cold stone, the details of the dream already dissolving, but the terror of it staying behind like a smell. A fishmonger stopped trusting herself near the harbor's edge. A child refused her own bed. The men coming up from the mines were making mistakes, the kind of mistakes that get people killed underground, because a body that has not truly rested in 2 weeks is a body that has started to come apart at the seams. And here is the first thing that does not fit, the thing you should hold on to. The people of Dawnstar were not simply sleeping badly. They were waking up less than they had been. A woman would rise from a nightmare and find she could no longer picture her mother's face. A man would lose the name of the song his father used to sing. The nightmares were taking things. And no one in that town, no matter how desperate, could have told you what was reaching down into them every night and what, precisely, it wanted. Because the nightmares were never the disease. The nightmares were the symptom. To understand what was happening to Dawnstar, you have to understand who was doing it, and to understand her, you have to set aside almost everything the word nightmare means to you, because she is so much larger than that small word. Her name is Vaermina. She is one of the 16 great powers that the people of this world call the Daedric Princes, beings who are not gods in the way the divines are gods, but something older and stranger, each one bound to a single facet of existence the way a blade is bound to its edge. Some rule over storms, or fortune, or the hunt. Vaermina rules over the country you visit every single night, and never remember the borders of. Her realm is called Quagmire, and it is a place where reality folds over on itself every few moments, each turn more horrifying than the last. A landscape that does not obey the rules a sane mind needs to stand upright. And here is what makes her unlike almost any other power in this world. You have been there. Everyone has. To dream at all is to cross, however, briefly, into her territory. She is, of all these vast beings, the one most familiar to mortals, because she touches nearly every living thing that sleeps. From a citadel at the heart of her realm, she reaches out across the boundary between worlds and into the minds of the sleeping, and she takes from them memories. She collects them. She harvests the small, precious, irreplaceable contents of a mortal life. A face, a melody, the warmth of a particular afternoon, and she draws them back across into quagmire, leaving behind, in the hollow where the memory used to sit, a vision of horror to fill the space. Sit with what that means for a moment, because it is the cruelest mechanism in this entire story, and almost no one says it out loud. Think of the nightmare as a scar. The theft is the wound, silent, clean, gone before waking. And the terror is only the mind trying to heal over the place where something was cut away and failing. The people of Dawnstar were not being frightened. They were being emptied, one memory at a time, and the horror they woke into was only their own minds bleeding where something had been taken. What does a being like that do with 1,000 stolen lifetimes of small, warm, human memory? No one knows. The records do not say. Into this walks the one man in Dawnstar who seems to understand any of it. You find him in the Wind Peak Inn, the warm heart of a cold town, standing among the frightened miners and trying to talk them down. He is a Dunmer, a dark elf, ash-skinned, red-eyed, soft-spoken in a way that lands strangely against the panic around him. He wears the plain hooded robes of a priest of Mara, the goddess of love and compassion and mercy, the gentlest power in the whole pantheon. His name is Erendur, and while the townsfolk are coming apart, he is calm, because he says he knows where the nightmares are coming from, and he says he knows how to make them stop. He points to a ruin on the clifftop above the town, Nightcaller Temple. He says the source of everything is up there, and he asks for help. Not from the guards, not from the Jarl, but from a stranger willing to climb a mountain with a priest and put an end to a town's suffering. When pressed for details, he gives almost none. He simply asks to be trusted. Trust me, he says, in effect. I am a priest of Mara. I know what I am doing. And here is where I want to plant something. Gently, so that you carry it with you up the mountain. There is a great deal this priest is not telling you. He knows far more about that temple than a man who has merely studied it should. He moves through what comes next, not like a scholar reading a map, but like someone walking the halls of a house he used to live in. The story is about to spend a long time teaching you to wonder what he is hiding. Notice later who taught you to wonder it. For now, he asks for your trust, and the town behind him is dying for sleep. So you go. The walk up is not gentle. The path to Nightcaller Temple is the kind of cold that gets into the joints, and the things that den near its entrance, frost trolls, great pale shapes that move faster than something that size has any right to, do not care about anyone's grief. But you and the priest fight your way up, and at the top, before the door, he stops and tells you the history of the place. Long ago, he says, this temple was attacked. A war party of orcs came up this same path with murder in mind. The people inside, defending themselves and something precious they would not name, released a weapon of last resort. A gas. They called it the miasma. The miasma did not kill. it did something stranger. It put everyone it touched, attacker and defender alike, into a sleep so deep and so long that years passed while they lay there, ageless, suspended, dreaming. The temple did not fall. It simply went quiet, with everyone in it asleep where they stood for decades. And now, the priest says, the seal is weakening. The sleepers are stirring. And whatever it was they were all willing to die to protect is awake again, and reaching out and feeding on the town below. He does not say how he knows this. He opens the door. Inside, the temple is a held breath made of stone. You descend through halls where the dust lies undisturbed, and the air has the flat, dead taste of a room sealed too long. And as you go deeper, the sleepers begin to wake. Orcs first, confused, enraged, ripped out of decades of suspended dreaming into a body that does not understand how much time has passed, lashing out at the first thing they see. The priest fights beside you, and he fights like a man who knows these corridors, because he turns down passages before you reach them, and names rooms before you enter them. And somewhere in the back of your tired mind, a small, cold question is beginning to form. You reach a barrier, a wall of shimmering light across the path, the kind of thing that does not yield to a sword. And it is here, finally, that the priest tells you the first piece of the truth. He was a priest of Vaermina, not of Mara, not always. Long ago, before the gentle robes and the soft voice and the talk of mercy, he served the Prince of Nightmares in this very temple. He knows every hall because he walked them as one of the faithful. And when the orcs came up the mountain all those years ago, he was here. He says it the way people say things they have rehearsed for decades and still cannot get out cleanly. He needs to undo what was done here. He says he needs to end it. He became a priest of love to bury a past in this temple of nightmares. And now the past has woken up and started hurting people, and he cannot live with that. He is not asking you to forgive him. He is asking you to help him put it right. To get past the barrier, he explains, you will have to do something that he, as a priest of Mara, cannot. There is a potion the Old Order brewed here, a thing called Vaermina's torpor, and drinking it sends the drinker into a state the priests named the dream stride. In that state, you walk through someone else's dream as though you belong inside it. And this is the strange and dangerous part. When you wake, your body is wherever your dream self happened to be. The dream stride can carry you past walls that nothing in the waking world could breach. But the old writings on it carry a warning that he does not dwell on, and you should. Some who drink the torpor simply fade back into the waking world unharmed, and some never come back at all, vanished, assumed dead. And some reappear already dead, returned to a body that did not survive the crossing. No one can say whether the danger lives in the potion or in the prince who inspired it. You are being asked to drink a thing that has killed people in ways no one understands, on the word of a man who just admitted he has been lying to you about who he is. You drink it anyway. The town is not sleeping. Somebody has to. What happens when the torpor takes you is the quiet center of this whole story, and it is so easy to miss what it costs. You fall, and then you are standing. But the body you are standing in is not yours. You are seeing through someone else's eyes, hearing through their ears, wearing their hands. The dream you have stepped into is a memory, decades old, of the day the orcs breached this temple. And the man whose memory you are walking through, the man whose skin you are borrowing, has a name. His name is Casimir. Around you, two priests of Vaermina are arguing in the failing light. The orcs have broken the inner sanctum. There are only a handful of the faithful left. One of them, Vaermina, says what no one wants to say. They cannot win, and so the miasma must be released, the great sleep that will take friend and enemy alike, the only way to keep the skull safe. The other hesitates. The miasma? But brother. And Vaermina answers him, and it is the line that should make the hair on your arms stand up if you understand where you are standing. We have no alternative. It's the will of Vaermina. And then, having made their peace, having said they are ready to sleep for as long as it takes, they turn to the priest among them whose hands will pull the chain. They turn to Casimir. They turn to you. You pull the chain. The miasma floods the temple, and the dream releases you back into your own body, on your own side of the barrier, which is now down, because the thing blocking the way was tied to that long-ago moment, and you have just relived the act that sealed this place. Now hold the whole shape of what you have just done. You did not watch Casimir release the gas that put his brothers and sisters to sleep for decades. You were him. You felt it in his hands. And walking beside you in the present, in the gentle robes of the goddess of mercy, calm and soft and patient, is that same man, grown old in his guilt, who has just made a stranger relive the worst thing he ever did because he could not face the barrier himself. There is one more thing the dream did not show you, and the world only whispers it elsewhere, in the corners of what the priests of Vaermina were and did. The memories they harvested for their prince in the years this temple was full and faithful. They were not all taken from soldiers and enemies. Some were taken from children. The man beside you spent his devout years reaching into sleeping minds and lifting away whatever was warm enough to be worth stealing. And not all of those minds belonged to people old enough to defend them. That is the past he is climbing back into this temple to bury. Not a monster. A man who was once monstrous, trying to become something else. Deeper still, at the bottom of the temple you find what all of this has been about. The skull of corruption. It sits in the inner sanctum, an artifact of Vaermina herself, and it is the mouth through which she has been feeding on Dawnstar. It is the thing the priests died sleeping to protect. It is the source of every stolen face and forgotten song in the town below. It shares its mistress's hunger. By every account, it reaches out on its own for the memories of those nearby, and some who have studied it swear the thing has a will of its own. It has been sitting up here, awake again, draining a town one night at a time. And it is guarded. 2 priests of Vaermina rise to bar the way, and your stomach drops, because you know them. You wore one of their brothers' faces an hour ago. These are Vaermina and Thoric, the same 2 from the dream, who chose the great sleep, who said they were ready. The miasma took them too, and now, decades later, the seal broken, they have woken to find a traitor standing in their sanctum, wearing the robes of an enemy goddess. Vaermina looks at the priest beside you and does not see Erandur, servant of Mara. He sees Casimir. "No thanks to you," he says, and the priest answers quietly that he does not use that name anymore. And Vaermina says the thing that has been waiting decades to be said, the accusation that is the true center of this man's life. "You're a traitor. You left us to die, and then ran before the miasma took you. And here, finally, you learn the shape of the secret he has been carrying up the whole mountain. He did not sleep with them. He released the great sleep that was meant to take everyone. And then, before it could take him, he fled. He saved himself. He left his brothers and sisters lying where they fell, and he walked out of this temple alone into the snow, and he has been walking away from that moment ever since. His defense, when it comes, is not a defense at all. It is the smallest, most human admission a person can make. "No," he says. I was scared. I wasn't ready to sleep. There is no villainy in it. There is just a frightened man who wanted to live. That is the whole crime. That is what he has spent decades as a priest of love trying to atone for. And now the two people he wronged most stand between him and the only act of redemption he has left, and they will not move. And so there is nothing to do but what the dying always force the living to do. You fight them. They fall. And the man who loved them once stands over their bodies and asks into the empty air whether this is his punishment, whether the goddess of mercy he serves now is making him his only friends to teach him something. It is not. Mercy does not work that way. But there is something in this room that does work that way. And it has been waiting for you this entire time. Eranda kneels before the skull and begins the ritual that will destroy it. To unmake the artifact. To end the theft. To give Dawnstar back its knights and let the people below close their eyes without losing anything in the dark. He bows his head, and he calls out to Mara for the strength to finish it, and his voice is the voice of a man, finally, after a lifetime, doing the thing he ran from. And that is when the whisper comes. It arrives inside your own head, soft and reasonable and intimate, the way your own thoughts arrive. He is deceiving you. The voice tells you that the moment the priest finishes, he will turn on you, that he means to take the skull's power for himself, that the gentle robes were always a long con, that you are about to be betrayed by the man kneeling defenseless in front of you. Kill him now, the voice says, while there is still time. Claim the skull. It should be yours. It is Vaermina. It is the Prince of Nightmares, speaking directly into your mind. And she is lying, not twisting something true into something false, lying outright, the way she has lied to every sleeper who ever crossed into her country and woke missing a piece of themselves. Let that settle, because it is the entire story turning over in your hands. Everything Eranda ever said to you was true. He really was a priest of Mara. He really did come to end the nightmares. The ritual really will save the town, and he really is about to complete it at the cost of his own peace. And there is no second self underneath, no betrayal coming, no knife behind the robes. The one being in this entire tale who has actually been deceiving you, from the first night a miner woke up missing his mother's face, is the voice now telling you that he is the deceiver. And now look back down the mountain with me, all the way to the Wind Peak Inn, because here is what the whisper changes. Every careful instinct you had to distrust this man, every moment he knew too much, every truth he withheld, every time you thought he is hiding something, the story trained you into all of it. It walked you up a mountain, teaching you patiently to doubt the one honest person in it, so that when the Prince of Nightmares finally leaned into your ear at the decisive moment and named him a liar, the accusation would land in soil already tilled. And the true nightmare was never the temple, or the gas, or the skull at the bottom of it. It lived in your own head. The doubt, planted there and grown carefully, and harvested at exactly the right second. You were not a witness to Vaermina's work. You were the last place she tried to do it. That is what she does. That is all she has ever done. She reaches into a sleeping mind and replaces something true with something that feels true and is not. Understand now what she is actually offering you, because the reward is not abstract. If you listen to the whisper, If you strike the kneeling priest down before he finishes, the skull of corruption becomes yours, and it is a real and powerful thing. But there is a detail in what it is and how it works that turns the whole offer into something obscene once you see it clearly. The staff does not draw its power from soul gems alone, the way ordinary staves do. It grows stronger by feeding. Specifically, it grows stronger when you use it on someone who is asleep. You walk up to a sleeping person, defenseless, dreaming, and you take their dreams, and the staff swells with the strength of it. That is the reward. A weapon whose entire nature is the act you climbed this mountain to stop. Vaermina is not offering you the power to end the nightmare of Dawnstar. She is offering you the chance to become it, to carry her hunger down the mountain in your own hands and turn it on every sleeping person you ever meet. The guards who see you holding it will recoil and call it foul and unnatural, and they will be exactly right. She does not want the skull destroyed. She wants it loose in the world, in the hands of someone she has just spent an entire night teaching to mistrust mercy. The reward is the trap. The reward was always the trap. If you stay your hand, if you let the whisper pass through you like the lie it is, the ritual completes. The skull breaks. The hunger that has been reaching down into the town for weeks simply stops. The way a sound you had stopped noticing stops, leaving a silence so complete, it takes a moment to recognize as relief. Eranda rises. He does not look triumphant. He looks like a man who has set down something he has been carrying for so long that his body has forgotten how to stand without it. "Forgive me if I don't appear relieved," he says. "This temple has taken its toll on me." He tells you he had built a small shrine to Mara in the antechamber where you first came in, that his whole plan had been to live out his remaining years in this place, burying the past and praying for a forgiveness he was not sure would ever come. And then, instead, he offers to come with you, to walk back out into the world he hid from. And when you try to thank him, he will not allow it. "There's no need to thank me," he says. "What you did was for the people of Dawnstar. If anyone should be thanked, it should be you." He spent decades unable to forgive himself for choosing his own life over his friends. And his redemption, when it finally comes, is to choose a town full of strangers over the safety of hiding. He gives the people of Dawnstar back their sleep, and they will never know his name. They will never know there was a tower, or a gas, or a frightened priest, or a prince whispering in the dark above their roofs. They will only know that one morning they woke up rested and could remember their mothers' faces again, and slowly stopped being afraid of their own beds. That is the other thing about redemption that almost no story is honest about. It is rarely witnessed by the people it saves. So let us go back down the mountain, back to the man who has not let himself truly sleep in 11 days. It is the end of another shift. His hands still curl around a pick that is no longer there. He lies down in the dark, braced, the way he has braced every night for weeks, ready to pull himself back from the edge the moment he feels himself going under. He waits for the cold reaching, the soft theft, the morning where he wakes knowing only that something he loved is gone. It does not come. His eyes close, and they stay closed. And he sinks down past the place where the fear lives, down into a sleep so deep and so plain and so empty that there is nothing in it at all. No horror, no reaching, no whisper, no loss. Just the dark and rest and the slow tide of an ordinary night. He dreams of nothing. And for the first time in a very long time, nothing is the kindest thing the world has ever given him. He will wake tomorrow with every memory he fell asleep holding. He will never know why. He will never know there was a tower, or a name, or a man who climbed back into the worst thing he ever did so that a stranger he would never meet could close his eyes in peace. That is the shape of the gift. The best things done for us are usually done by people we never get to thank, for reasons we never learn, in rooms we will never see. Somewhere right now, someone is choosing, quietly and without applause, to face the thing they have been running from. And the only evidence the rest of us will ever have of it is that, against all odds, we wake up rested. If this is the kind of story you want to keep beside you at the end of long days, the like and the subscribe help these find their way to others lying awake in the dark. But there's no urgency. For now, there is no tower on the cliff. There is no hunger reaching down. There is only the cold sea going on against the rocks, and the wind settling, and a whole town of tired people sinking at last into a sleep that asks nothing of them and takes nothing away. The lamps go dark one by one. The dreaming is gentle now.